Thanks, Trisha. If I click this. There we go. I am really excited to give you all a snapshot of what is happening with drug shortages, particularly because we know that these do contribute to medication errors. So just a quick note, I've been collecting drug shortage data. Thanks, very kind introduction by Trisha, but my team and I have been collecting drug shortage data since 2001. And so we publish the information on a public website through the American Society of Health System Pharmacists. Anyone can go to that website. What we do is we get voluntary reports. We investigate those reports. We would never post anything online that someone just sent us an email about. We always confirm that directly with the suppliers, directly with the manufacturers to see, is there a problem? Is there not a problem? Sometimes there's not a problem. We do share the information with the FDA and their drug shortage team, some of my personal heroes there. And when possible, we also provide information about alternatives and safety information to really, our goal is to help a clinician try to manage through these shortages and really mitigate the impact of shortages on patient care. I think it's important to think about what do we mean by when we say a shortage. There are a number of different definitions. The one that I use is very clinician focused, and it really means when you have to change the way that you prepare or dispense a product, or when you have to use an alternative. And you can think about how critical that is. We've just heard from, an entire morning's worth of presenters about, how critical a specific concentration or a color or a size might be. And with shortages, we are very limited in those products that we can access. Just a quick picture of national trends. There are a large number of other trends available on this public website. If you ever need these for a talk that you're doing or an update, I update these quarterly. Unfortunately, for about the past 2 years, we have been managing over 300 active and ongoing shortages. And that's a lot. We actually reached a peak of 323 active and ongoing shortages. We do track more shortages than FDA. So if you're ever comparing and contrasting those two sites, you'll see that our list is a little bit longer. And again, that's because we are more focused on specific formulations, a pre-filled syringe versus a vial. That can make a big difference for clinicians and for health systems. When I was preparing this talk, I thought it would be interesting to take a look back at the shortages that our own health system has faced. So I looked at the 45 different products that are available on our U of U Health anesthesia trays, and basically every single product in that tray between the period of 2001 to 2024 had been short at one time or another. The only product was Gammadex. Right. And once that goes generic, we'll probably also have shortages of that. But the average duration of these shortages is pretty long. We're looking at over 600 days. So when people talk about, well, we should have a stockpile, we should have, a huge amount on hand, 600 days is a long time. I won't kind of belabor exactly which products have been short for the longest, but you can see that table, and certainly happy to share these slides with everyone and make them all available. I think what's important to think about when many people hear about a shortage, they think we're out. We have nothing, we have no product. And that is almost never the case. Usually what happens is you can't get the right strength or the right packaging or a different size. And it's from a different manufacturer. All of those things we know can contribute to medication errors, especially if it's a different colored cap, if the vial feels a little bit different, if it just looks different, if it's one of the code cart medications that we rely on that aren't available in that very specific packaging, and your pharmacy has to make a kit in a baggie. Imagine pulling out your code cart trays, which I'm sure many of you have, and it's just full of little baggies with little vials and syringes and kits. It's very, very frustrating. And so that's why we track these shortages and really advocate for their resolution. Quick introduction on why this is happening. Most of these shortages are generic, especially the ones in anesthesia products. I will say that, and again, this is, I could probably go for 2 hours on this topic, but I won't, I promise, Trisha. The market doesn't recognize or reward quality. And when I say quality, it's not just, is the product exactly what it's meant to be without any contaminants or particles in it. When I say quality, I also mean, can you get that product for your patient? Is it available in a reliable supply? And there are big hurdles to regulatory entry. Even if a company wants to bring a product to market, it's going to be several years, and that's usually not enough time to make up the difference. FDA's aggregate data tells us that most of the drug shortages are due to some quality problems. The good news is that there's a lot of interest. Over the past year, there have been multiple congressional hearings, and we have the right committees involved. Now, one of those committees, Homeland Security and Government Affairs, they've actually been interested in shortages since 2018, and they've just released their second report. They're actually taking a national security approach to looking at the shortage problem, which is really interesting. And I did have the opportunity to testify for that Senate committee last year. But we also have some of the other very important healthcare related committees interested. We have Senate Finance, we have Energy and Commerce. All of these folks are interested. I know certainly nothing will happen in an election year, but there's tremendous bipartisan interest on this topic. And so I think hopefully after the election, we'll be able to keep carrying forward the momentum on advocacy. One website that I do want to call attention, if you are just looking for a quick primer, quick understanding of what policy solutions make the most sense, I call attention to my friend and colleagues' work for the Brookings Institute. Marta Wasinska has been providing some really nice, very short summaries that make a lot of sense. One is we need more information about quality ratings, quality of products, that includes reliability. We also need to change health systems' incentives to actually purchase based on those quality ratings. And then for those very, very vulnerable products, maybe those that are only made in one factory, rely on one piece of raw material, we may need a small domestic stockpile. So I want to call attention to a couple of things. One is reliability. So we do need more information about reliability available. This can help the government move forward on really targeting which products are the most vulnerable. There was some legislation proposed. Hopefully that will get proposed again. It's called the MAPS Act. And that really would help the US government and FDA understand which products are the most vulnerable, including those precursor ingredients that are used even before the API. Purchasers. We need to do a better job of picking the products that are going to be the most reliable. We don't have a lot of information there right now. Suppliers need to invest in having a quality and reliable product available. And then payers really do need to reward the use of those high quality products. So we really need to change the incentives. The problem is all of this costs money. And who pays? And I will argue that we are already paying the price for drug shortages. These are very costly. Your hospitals are doing a tremendous amount of work managing these shortages. They could probably mix more tranexamic acid in mini bags and make more prefilled syringes if they weren't trying to get every other drug on the anesthesia cart. But most hospitals are very incentivized on price. And honestly, that's how CMS reimburses hospitals. So we have a tough road there. So again, that policy proposal talks about ways to change those incentives. And then transparency. Again, we need to figure out a little bit more. We can't just say, make everything available on the label and make that transparent and expect that to change things. But it will help different areas of the health system and the entire market figure out what is most important. I think the most challenging thing here is that most of that information is business confidential. Which factory is that Fresenius copy product made in? Angie might tell me over a drink tonight, but she would probably have to swear me to secrecy. It's business confidential, usually which factory is making a product, where it's made, the source of the API, all of that is not readily available. So I just want to end with a few things to think about. All of these have to change if we are going to make real progress in solving the drug shortage problem. So first, The FDA tells us that all generic products are equal. That's part of the FDA rating system. That's part of how generics work. Unfortunately, the only differentiating factor there is price. And when we have a race to the bottom, it really can incentivize companies cutting corners and not having a reliable supply. We also don't really, and yeah, I will just end there because I know we're short on time. And just again, talking about the transparency, that we do need a little bit more information to target the products that are most vulnerable and focus our efforts there. Thank you all very much.